We wanted to share with you some of the great things happening at Seattle Colleges. This is a place that transforms lives. You'll see what I mean after watching some stories we've put together in a program we're calling At Seattle Colleges.
We've seen some people whose lives are transformed. Individuals who are really reclaiming their lives. Between the beginning and the end of the quarter, they can expect both physical improvements in health. There is not much of a language barrier to working out, and people make some really long-lasting friendships. What else that happens here is inspiration. I love to see the transformation. They're going to have a good time, learn new information that they can take with them outside of North Seattle College.
North is really engaged right now in contextualizing curriculum.
Contextualized learning is proven to be results-oriented for student success.
For students who are going into these fields, we're catching them at the beginning of that journey. It really helps boost their confidence and their interest in their field.
It makes concepts that might be abstract for students, particularly in math and science. It makes them real for students, so it connects them with a concept within the healthcare field. For example, in a chemistry class, instead of using a beaker, they might use an IV bag. The math and chemistry and science courses are required for healthcare fields, and they're huge stumbling blocks for a lot of students. So when you embed a concept that's related to healthcare within the context of the curriculum, it makes it much more understandable for students, and so the success rate is higher.
We're going to get more students through those prerequisites to the point where they can actually apply for entry, rather than having them wash out before they even get to that point. You're more likely to actually be successful in that prerequisite class if you can see the context.
There's a huge demand in the greater community for well-trained individuals in the health sciences, but there's a lot of courses, be it your chemistry courses, be it your biology courses, that can be very theoretical.
I've had that experience. I've been in classes. They weren't chemistry classes, they were math classes. But I was like, what is the point of this? And so it really addresses that. The more we can say, here's this thing you're learning, here's why, we see less memorization, we see far more engagement in the classroom, and students just try harder to learn the material. The second there's a reason why they should know it. Chemistry 121 is the perfect class to contextualize it. It's almost necessary. We actually have a pretty contextualized textbook already for it, but I take a survey of my students at the beginning of every quarter, and usually 80% of them, maybe more, are going into either nursing or they're trying to be physical or occupational therapists. They're doing something in the health field. By creating context, it really helps to have even their pre-req class contextualized for their goal. Students really like this. Students like this a lot.
You know, when I was taking all those prerequisite classes, there are a lot of things that applied to nursing. Personally, kind of helped me to look forward into the nursing program.
Allied health field is competitive, and things like nursing school are extremely competitive. I have a few students who want to improve their grade and retake the class, and they will not take it with anyone else because they want it contextualized. The amount of feedback I got after the quarter was tremendous. Better feedback than I've ever received, ever out of a course. As a chemistry instructor, I don't know what it's actually like to be a nurse or a PA, OT. I have no real idea. And so I had to go out and start talking about my class to people who were in the fields my students would be going into and try to find the common grounds. And so most of that prep work was really just having conversations with people who do something other than what I do. And that was a fascinating and really rewarding learning experience for me. And then I was able to take a lot of the things I learned and create lessons from that. I'm an infinitely better instructor than I was before I contextualized my class. Knowing where they're heading and being able to teach to that means that I engage my students better, which means they actually leave my class now learning more chemistry, which means I'm just doing my job better. And it means I got to learn something really interesting as well. I learned my field better through this process. It was exciting.
I'm really excited that this is happening because it's going to help students achieve their goals, and that's what we're here for.
Unbelievable, 50 years, and it's been a great 50 years, and Seattle community has so much rich history in those 50 years, and once again, they've really changed the landscape of not just the Central, just not Seattle Community College, but the whole state. They've been a leader in different programming because they've been willing to take a chance where others haven't.
Brothers and sisters together, Chicano, Indian, white, black, yellow, green, polka dot, anything.
And you had students, obviously, that weren't afraid to push the button a little bit further than maybe it should have been. But in so many ways, by pushing those buttons, it opened the door. It opened that elevator up where we could move up.
Is this racism or what?
If we didn't have Seattle Central, we would have to make it up because it is so important to the fabric of the city. When I first got there as a student, my eyes about busted out because of all the things that were happening there. There was obviously the anti-war. The hotbed issue was obviously Vietnam. And so the massive demonstrations that were occurring around the country started locally in the Seattle area at Seattle Community College. We had demonstrations and there was forums almost every day about the war. And then you had the whole civil rights movement. It had to do with wanting an African American on the board of trustees of Seattle Community College. There were none. And so they said, we want a board of trustees and we want an enhanced program for African Americans. First of all, the administration didn't agree with them. Absolutely. Absolutely, it's central to social justice. It's almost in its very fabric that Seattle Central will be the location to start the march, to start the demonstration. That diversity of programming has always been very strong, and it attracted that kind of a student, obviously. And because of that, it has maintained kind of that hotbed of activism and innovation and let's give it a go type of attitude. And so there was interesting discussions. And I think that kind of discussions, I don't know where you would have gotten it other than at a Seattle Central. Therefore, it became what people thought was the hotbed of activism, which it was and continues to be. It's not like it just happened all of a sudden. It has happened for a long time, and it has to do with that it is centrally located to some key areas, some key neighborhoods. One being Capitol Hill, one being the central area. So it's an easy place to get to. It's not necessarily what you call a residential area. And so it's close. It's close to some targets as well, like downtown. Seattle Central really was central in terms of when you think of community. It embodied the term community. It knew that there was going to be a large immigration population, so it had programs. It had the returning veterans. It had strong veteran programs. And so it embodied the issue of community. Seattle Community College, was the heart of the community. It was the heartbeat. It was the soul. So many things started there and so many things continue there. Seattle Community College has been central to transformation because it has been the leader of recognizing what is happening in this area. It was one of the first colleges, if not the first college, to recognize the need for a strong bilingual education program. I take a look at how huge that was and how other colleges didn't have that. The future is real bright for a campus like that who looks at change as being exciting, and it looks at change as being something that they want to be at the forefront of. I can't imagine them ever sitting back and saying that the status quo was okay.
A student came to the sustainability office and asked about a pea patch on campus. So the Office of Sustainability went to the city and said, hey, could we actually have a pea patch here? It took several years in the making, but everything came together so that we were able to have a fully funded pea patch constructed on the campus. I am so excited about this being the first partnership between the City of Seattle and the State of Washington. So you have to make sure that when you construct these sites that you construct them for the long haul. So the group that's doing the construction is the Seattle Conservation Corps, and they're a job training program that the City of Seattle runs. This is a really great example of something that we wanted to have in our pea patch. Because there's a lot of concrete that's part of the college, we wanted to reference the college in a nice way, but not make it real overt. So one of our volunteers designed this concrete standard. Every time we have people here on the site, we see folks that are walking along the sidewalks, neighbors stop and talk. See, I always get emotional when I talk about this. Public gardens are a profound joining for me of the natural world and the built environment. There are so many people who see the streets and the concrete and the buildings and the rebar, and they forget about the nature that's involved, the land that's under their houses and their yards and their streets. And this site was houses before it was a college, and it was a fill area where all of the extra fill from the streets that were built around here was placed. So this is a dump, really, and now it's being reclaimed. And not only are we reclaiming the land, but then we're going to eat from it.
We have 44,000 square feet in our facility, which is a lot. We have a fitness center, which has a section for free weights, for weight training, some resistance machines too. We have the cardio machines in the fitness center as well. We have the studio that has a variety of classes held here, and then a similar studio, but it's larger. We have a mat room where our first aid class is held, a gymnasium located on our second floor that accommodates full court basketball. Way up on the top floor, we have our track that is 1/13 of a mile. There are windows around the perimeter, so as you're walking, you see a 360-degree view of the campus.
I think that students need to understand what online courses are. So most of our college online courses are not necessarily easier than face-to-face courses. They require a lot of written communication, and you must participate by writing something usually or showing up in some way, so that it's a little more rigorous than some of the campus courses.
At first I was really nervous because I was like, oh, how are they going to grade me? How is the system going to work? But once I started it, I really liked it. Like, I think even better than like face-to-face sometimes.
Online classes sometimes are way easier than face-to-face because you have the time to work on your own, and they are more flexible. So as I said before, you can work anytime, you can work at night, you can work during the day.
The thing is that it's hard when I don't have internet at home, so I have to come to the campus to study.
I like face-to-face class better because we can collaborate with other students, we can ask more questions to instructors if you're having a difficult time.
So you have to be self-motivated and able to manage your time, be responsible. If you ask yourself those questions at the beginning and you feel like, no, I'm not going to be able to do this, I procrastinate too much or whatever, then maybe you should take a face-to-face class.
But I think it's more time than face-to-face. Because you have to teach yourself, you have to learn everything by yourself.
Sometimes just take an hour, just figure out how to use a program, since there's nobody just sitting next to you and then to give you instructions.
So I had to be very deliberate about setting up a time to sit down as if I were going to a face-to-face class, and be committed to doing that at the same time every day. And then I had to time myself and stay seated for 45 minutes or an hour. Otherwise, it was far too easy to get distracted.
And it really helped me to get a planner, set down a calendar, write out everything that was in the syllabus, so there was no reason for me to be able to miss anything.
Sometimes I just think like, I'll do it later, but no, it does not work.
Really have to think about their own learning style, even their personality type. You know, are they more introverted? Are they shy? Are they very outgoing? Do they like to work collaboratively? Or do they like working alone a lot? Those kinds of things are important to kind of assess. It's almost as a self-assessment that they need to do beforehand. Are they better at hands-on learning? I think a lot of us are. Visual learners, most of us are. Auditory learners. Those kinds of things that it would be helpful if they knew that they should think about those things first.
I had to find new ways of studying independently because you're not in the classroom anymore. You're by yourself, you got the book, you have your email.
Creating structure for yourself is kind of the key to it, and that's the biggest challenge because you're used to a teacher doing that for you.
But online class, you can study when you have the best condition. Because if it's afternoon people, they can study in afternoon. If the morning people can study in the morning, so they give it more flexibility.
Online class is better for me because, about the ESL part, because some ESL students like me are good in writing instead of like speaking inside class.
They can contact the instructors that they're interested in taking and ask them for things, syllabus, what are the expectations of the class? Do you think I'm ready? These are my prerequisites, that kind of thing. I think communicating with the instructors beforehand is really a good idea.
Print out the syllabus. Print it out because there will be times where your internet drops and you're stuck. You gotta contact your professor if something's due. That's happened to me.
My suggestion is that if you want to take online class, you should take at least take hybrid class first to get to know what is the difference between online and face-to-face.
And then, most importantly, once you're in the class and you've got assignments, do not wait until the due date to post your assignment.
Don't choose to take a class you think you don't care about online because you think it's going to be easy.
Treat it as seriously as a face-to-face class. Definitely leave yourself time and only enroll in it if you know you're going to have enough time to get all the assignments done.
Online's not for everyone, and college is very difficult in general anyway, so they shouldn't feel that they're alone just because they're taking online classes.
I think we have the best intern program in the system right now. Certainly the most successful.
What I'm looking forward to with the Delta internship is learning as much hands-on experience as I can.
Intern with Delta was like the icing on the cake.
Delta internship is a very cool thing and kind of the only thing like it.
So they learn a lot of all-around skills while they're going through the program. Instructors here are really experienced instructors. We definitely teach a lot of technical skills while in the classroom, but outside the classroom they get a lot of other training to get prepared to finding jobs and making sure that they know how to keep that job after they find it. This is the first program that actually had an internship with Delta. It's a huge deal for the program, and we always strive to be the best program in the country.
Creating the next generation of line maintenance technician is something that is very germane to our industry. In fact, Delta is uniquely set up to do this. The opportunity we give these students is awesome.
But when you come here after class and actually work with the mechanics for half the night, then you really get to see what they actually do and what the job really is.
I don't know anywhere else where you could get a lot of exposure to all the different areas of line maintenance in a real short amount of time.
And we would do things like moving the wings, moving flight controls, changing tires, doing blade loops, taking the fan blades out and moving them, and all sorts of things. And it was quite interesting, and it grasped my attention very quickly, and I realized this is what I want to do. They give you the sense that you're a part of the family while you're there, and it's a really good feeling.
Engine master switch on, you're ready to roll.
The school was very good at giving us opportunity to find out about the industry, and through a school club, the Association for Women in Aviation Maintenance, we brought in a lot of guest speakers, we brought in folks like Mike Hagler from Delta, and it was a great experience. The mechanics treated me really well and did everything they could to expose me to the whole gamut of aircraft maintenance. The internship program just threw me right out there in the field, and I found that I was right where I wanted to be.
It is really difficult to get your foot in the door. I know that students that have gone through this program, even though maybe they've gotten done with the program and Delta wasn't hiring at the time, they immediately got employed.
That is why you should come south. I mean, you're not going to get a better opportunity elsewhere.
Oh, I'm so excited. Yeah.
It's been nothing but great. South Seattle is definitely the place to go because they give you all the opportunities and all the tools to get to these jobs that pay well.
We hope you enjoyed learning about some of the great things happening at Seattle colleges. Until next time, I'm John Sharifi.